woman at the well. And over the years, I mean, if you were raised in the church or if you've been connected with the church in any way, and that doesn't mean you have to be. I know some of you here are brand new to the church, and that's great. So this might be your first experience with the story. But what's really beautiful about this story and what's preached about a lot is that this woman, who is not well accepted by Jews, she's a Samaritan, who's gathered at this well, is met by Jesus. And what does Jesus do? But Jesus offers himself to her. Offers her new life, new hope, new opportunities, new beginning. And I believe that that is at the heart of the text. Amen? Is this idea that what God offers us and how God responds to us in the midst of this world is God responds by acting on our behalf. By meeting us, and you hear me use this language a lot, meeting us right where we are. I love the image of the Samaritan woman at the well because she's just performing an ordinary, common, daily task. She would have gone to that well hundreds of times to get water for her household. And there in the midst of the common movement of the day, Jesus actually comes and meets her there. The scriptures tell us that Jesus is a little tired and he's thirsty. And so he asks her for some water. And then this begins this whole conversation. And it's more than just a little conversation, isn't it? You sat here for 5 minutes listening to that conversation unfold. It was a significant conversation. Jesus was interested in her and interested in her life. And we could probably end the sermon right there. Isn't it good news that Jesus meets us in the midst of our common life, right where we are, offering us something new, acting on our behalf, inviting us to celebrate and experience life in its fullest, because that's what God wants for each and every one of us. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen, and we can go sit down, right? And you all can leave this place feeling really good and invigorated, which you should. But the more I read that text this week, the more I realized there's a lot more going on in the text. As a matter of fact, I almost had my head pop off my shoulders. That's how amazing this encounter with the text happened this week. And I became aware that the level of depth and what God is doing through Jesus Christ in relationship to this woman is incredible. An incredible gift. Not only to her, but to all of us. And while we might take that first little section that I talked about, celebrating the life that we have in God, a lot of times take that moment and they think that what we have to celebrate is the future that we might have with God. Now, there's this eternal life that Jesus offers us is something that we can know and find assurance in, but we're really looking forward to happening in some distant future, some heavenly reward, get our ticket to heaven and know that we're going to be with Jesus, and this is what he offers us in the midst of this lifetime. But what I found within the text this week is that Jesus is actually addressing eternal and abundant life in the here and now. What he offers this woman is a moment of liberation from her present oppression. Her present experience. How she's living and working and finding herself in the midst of the world in the now. Jesus isn't just offering her some future hope. He's offering her an opportunity to experience the fullness of liberated life in the present. Now, when I was growing up and I was a kid and I read this text, I had some very American assumptions about this woman. And what I mean by that is that I fed the story with my understanding, American lens. And what I mean by that is that Jesus encounters this woman at the well. They have this conversation about water and living water. She's giving me some of this water. And then Jesus turns to her and says, go get your husband and bring him to the well. And she responds by saying, I don't have a husband. And then Jesus, almost like he's a fortune teller, says, you're right. You don't have a husband. You've had 5 husbands. And the one you're with now, you're not married to. And she says, you're right. Now, I'm not saying that Jesus isn't able to look into the depths of our heart. But I believe in that moment, that conversation that they had together, that something's going on there that reveals more about the text and the situation and what Jesus is actually offering her. Anybody know anything about Samaritans? A couple of you might raise your hand, but you don't want to preach the rest of the sermon, do you? So Samaritans come from the land of Samaria. And Samaria is actually located in what was once known as the northern kingdom of Israel. Now back in the 700 BC, the northern kingdom was sacked by a foreign nation. Assyria came into the northern kingdom and conquered northern Israel, who had at that time their own king. Now there's a southern kingdom of Israel as well, where Judah and Jerusalem exists. This is the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom ends up being sacked by a foreign army as well, but that happens almost 200 years later. And so what happens is when the Assyrians enter into Samaria, or the northern kingdom, they take over everything. As a matter of fact, they start marrying and intermarrying between Assyrians and Assyrian allies and the Jewish men and women who lived in that region. The people of northern Israel were under the heavy hand of their oppressor. And back in those days, women didn't have a choice as to who they were to marry. Matter of fact, for many civilizations back in those days, women were objectified or considered to be property. And so when a foreign nation would come into a land and take it over, they would marry the women of that land to create even more pain and suffering, and to kind of give a word out to that nation that they conquered that we're in control now. Now, throughout history, what you find is when Assyria sacked the northern kingdom of Samaria, it wasn't just Assyria, but they had 5 other allies that invaded that land. And what we find is those allies, when they came into the land, they took wives for themselves as well. And so these women were being passed around from one group to the next. Now, when I grew up in Sunday school, my American notion was that this woman, well, she had a little bit of a sketchy life. She wasn't real good at relationships. She was going through a series of divorces. She just couldn't find the right guy. As a matter of fact, she ended up with this last dude, and she's decided she's done with marriage. Now, that's an American lens, right? But when you realize what's happening in that text is that this woman had no sketchy life. As a matter of fact, she really had no choice in what direction her life was taking. And Jesus knew that. You're right. You've had 5 husbands, symbolic husbands of the nations who have taken plunder of northern Israel. You've had no choice in your life but to live under their heavy hand. As a matter of fact, you're living with one guy now that's not your husband. And in that moment, he's referencing Rome. But I'm here to give you something new. I'm here to enter into this relationship with you, a relationship of mutual respect. To see you for who you are, and to know that you are important. And that beyond whatever the systems of the world or the oppressors say about you, you are a child of God, and that you are loved. And I have the very thing you need to be able to allow that living water to bubble up within you. Do you want it? And she says, give to me this water, Lord, that I might be set free even from those who oppress me. To invite me to make a choice for myself. To live abundantly in the midst of a world that is full of all sorts of oppression and brokenness and pain and addiction. We can all fill in the gaps, can't we, in that situation? We can all find ourselves at the well with that woman. All of us, each and every one of us, in some way or another, has experienced the dark pain of oppression in whatever form it may present itself. Maybe it's the words that were filled in your head when you were growing up by a parent or a child or a neighbor who told you, you're not good enough. Maybe those bad relationship between spouses. Maybe it was a workplace, or maybe your parents were pushing you too hard. Those are the simpler things. Maybe it was an addiction you became dependent on, trying to fill the voids in your life. I don't know what it is. Maybe you lived under that same hand that she experienced. But all of us have experienced that oppression. And Jesus meets us at the well in the commonplace, right where we are. And what Jesus offers us is liberation from that right in the now, right in the present, here and now. You can no longer be defined by the things of the world or the systems of the world, but you are now defined by God and God's love for you. Do you want it? Do you want to receive it? Because it's free. It's free. And regardless of whatever ways you might have participated in that darkness leading up to this moment, Jesus offers you grace and life and forgiveness and liberation right here in this moment, right here and now. Isn't that good news? And we've all been invited to participate in that same work that Jesus is offering that woman. Do y'all know what month it is this month? It's March Madness. Yeah, that's true. It's March Madness. Cindy said it was March, the early service. That's a good observation. I got you. Clear as a bell. You know what month it is? The national month. Y'all know? It's National Women's History Month. Do y'all know that? Congratulations, women. I'm glad you know when your national monthly holiday is. It's National Women's History Month. Now, is there a National Men's History Month? You're right. There is no Men's National History Month. You know why? Because men have been the power broker for a long time, right? You know what other National History Months there are? Last month was Black History Month. Next month is Asian History Month. Then there is, I think in September, Native American History Month. Now, each and every one of these people groups can have a National History Month because they've never held the power that white men have held. And I'm just being honest, right? I'm not saying white men are bad and men all of themselves. I'm just saying white men hold the power. So there's no White History Month. There's no Men's History Month. And the reason I share that with you is that we as a people of faith are about offering ourselves in such a way that we help liberate and invite people into the story of God's liberation in life. So that no one, regardless of who they are, may experience the darkness and brokenness of oppression. No one. As a Christian people, born in Christ, when I stepped to that well and I said, give me that water to drink, Lord, and I drank deep and I allowed it to bubble up within me, what Jesus also invited me to was to be an advocate for change and the new creation in the present. To be a participant in helping others realize that they are loved and worthy and beautiful and gifted, regardless of what racial background or national background or sex. All children of God. All children of God. And I love that about being United Methodist too, let me just say. Is that we do not view that the Holy Spirit cannot use a woman to be a pastor or a bishop. Matter of fact, some of the strongest bishops I know in our whole denomination are women. Because God has given it to us equally, amen? And He's invited us into that story. I love that kind of moment of revelation when you're reading a text. Because it changes my whole perspective of it. It wasn't just that this woman came because she had some baggage. This woman had been oppressed for years. Not by her own will, but by the will of others. Jesus doesn't stand for that. He enters right into the midst of it. says, I have the water of life. The water you drink from this well, it'll leave you thirsty. But this water, it bubbles up into eternity. The glory of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.